And a happy Tuesday to you. Hello, everybody. I am trailertrashtim. How's your mama and them? Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I am astounded. I am astonished. I am flummoxed. I'm in a state of disbelief. I find myself in agreement with a Democrat. Hang on just a minute. Morning coffee. Nothing like it. There is a congressional representative by the name of Sarah Jacobs. Sarah Jacobs is a Democrat from the state of California. Now, usually when I would see that you have a congressional representative from California, I already assume they're probably a lunatic. But when you put Democrat in front of their name, then I pretty much figure that they've got to be a lunatic. But Sarah Jacobs, and maybe she is on other issues, I don't know. But Sarah Jacobs has moved to force a vote on censuring Representative Brian Mast, a Republican of Florida, for comments that Jacobs described as incredibly dangerous and dehumanizing toward Palestinians living in Gaza. It seems like these days everybody's censoring everybody. Censorship is like the latest thing in the House of Representatives. Everybody's either getting censored or censoring somebody. Censuring. Seems like a lot of this is happening. And maybe in a lot of cases it's justified. I don't know, depending on who's making the motion. Jacobs filed, this appeared in AOL.com. You remember AOL, America Online? I didn't know they were still around, but this article appeared in AOL.com. I had no idea they were. I don't know if it's still AOL or if that's just the web address. I guess it's still a thing. I don't know. But I haven't seen AOL since, the 90s? Jacobs filed her censure measure as a privileged resolution on Monday, which forces the chamber to take action within 2 legislative days. House leadership can either motion to table the resolution or bring it to the floor for a vote. Now, what's going on here? Well, Sarah Jacobs accused Brian Mast of, quote, conflating innocent Palestinian civilians with Hamas in impassioned remarks on the House floor when moving to file her privileged resolution. She listed a series of instances where she believes Mast has failed to differentiate Palestinian civilians from the militant group Hamas, which launched its deadly attack on Israel last month. She said Mast has repeatedly made inflammatory statements regarding innocent Palestinian civilians in Gaza who are in harm's way through no fault of their own as a result of horrific terrorist attacks conducted by Hamas on October the 7th, she said while introducing the resolution. She added that Mast's refusal to distinguish innocent Palestinians from Hamas terrorists is false, misleading, dehumanizing, dangerous, and unbecoming of a member of Congress. I find myself largely in agreement with Representative Jacobs because you have Palestinians who live in Gaza, and then you have the Hamas who are labeled as terrorists who have attacked Israel, and she is saying that Mast is conflating the Palestinians with Hamas, which he has done, which is wrong. Sarah has a valid point on this particular matter. She may be a loony bird on every other issue. I don't know. She's a Democrat from California, so you do the math. But in this particular instance, she is exactly right to point out the fact that Palestinians are not necessarily Hamas. Okay? It's like saying that because I'm an American and we have a Black Panther Party in America, that I must be a member of the Black Panther Party. Okay? That's the furthest thing from the truth, right? Or it's like saying I'm a Democrat. Okay, I'm barely a Republican, but he is conflating the two, and he's wrong to do so, thereby misleading people in his conclusions. And this is what she's pointing out. Now, this is what I did not know about Brian Mast. Again, he is a member of Congress, a Republican from the state of Florida. I don't know what neck of the woods. Oh, that coffee's good. But Mast is an adamant supporter of Israel, and get this, previously wore his Israeli military uniform on Capitol Hill last month in a House floor speech last week that Jacob cites in her resolution. He said there are very few innocent Palestinian citizens. That's bullshit. That's simply wrong. I would encourage the other side, Mast said, to not so lightly throw around the idea of innocent Palestinian civilians, as frequently said. I don't think we would so lightly throw around the term innocent, Nazi, civilians during World War II. Well, why wouldn't you? Not everybody in Germany was a Nazi, you moron. The GOP congressman, listen to this, Mast, previously served as a volunteer with the Israeli Defense Forces. And the article goes on and on and on. He was a volunteer with the Israeli Defense Forces, and he wore his Israeli uniform to the floor of the House of Representatives. I would ask you again, why are so many Americans so complicit with the state of Israel? Why is that? If you're not Jewish, why are you so benevolent toward the state of Israel? Now, if you're a Jewish American, I understand it. If you're not a Jewish American, why, if you are so inclined to support Israel, why is that? I'm serious, folks. Can anybody give me a reason? Down in the comments, I beseech you, down in the comments, if you're an American, or if you're in Western Europe, or you're an American living elsewhere in the world, or no matter where you are. But if you're a Jewish American, I understand why you would support Israel. If you are not a Jewish American, could you please explain to me down in the comments why you support the nation or the state of Israel? I would love to know. Now, I know what some of the reasons are for a lot of Americans. And I'm not going to get into this because I've already covered it extensively. But if you are an evangelical American, you support Israel because of what you've always been taught all your life, that Israel, the state of Israel, is God's chosen people. That's utter nonsense. It is not true. It has never been true. But there is a religious component which gives the support to the people who support Israel because they believe it's God's chosen state. That's simply not the truth. That is not the case, as I have pointed out. You know, it's hard when you've been taught something your whole life, you believe something your whole life, maybe because it's what your mama believed or your grandmother believed or your grandfather believed or your preacher taught for years and years, to have somebody come on the scene and say, by the way, all that is nonsense. It's simply not true. It's hard to accept that when you've always believed it is true. Well, I'm telling you, it is not true. From the standpoint of Christianity and Christian theology and Christian beliefs, the support of Christians for the geographical state of Israel is simply, there is no basis for it whatsoever. It only became a thing in the late 1800s among Protestants and evangelicals. Okay, that's one reason why you shouldn't be supporting the state of Israel. Another reason that a lot of Americans who may not have any particular religious persuasion, another reason some of them support the state of Israel is because they are told that Israel is some burgeoning democracy. That is questionable at least. Okay, Israel is not like the last holdout for democracy in the Middle East. It simply is not. And there's simply no reason that I can think of, no valid reason why anybody would support the state of Israel unless they're a Jewish American. It makes no sense to me. Now, I'm trying not to take a side in all these fights over in the Middle East, because I have maintained I'm an American. I care where my priorities lie with my country, okay? This is why it outrages me to hear about this nutcase Congressman, Brian Mast, who comes to the floor of the House in an Israeli uniform. Dude, give me a break. Are you an American or are you not an American? If you're an American, then get your head in the game. Act like an American, not an Israeli. If you want to wear an Israeli uniform, go to Israel and run for the Knesset or whatever. Give me a break. He is a former member of the Israeli Defense Forces. Well, why are you in America? Why don't you move to Israel, buddy? Golly Moses. All right, let's move on. So anyway, Sarah has filed the article to censure him. It won't go anywhere. Believe me, I got to have a sip of coffee. Bear with me, folks. These things are largely symbolic. They're not going to go anywhere. I doubt it'll even be brought up for a vote. But of course, the GOP has the majority in Congress anyway, so it's not going to go anywhere. All right, let's move on. When I want to touch on the sham, the fraud Trump trial that's going on right now in front of Judge Scrooge, Judge Arthur Engoron. This is the one of all these bogus trials against Trump. This is the one that involves Judge Engoron and little Letitia James. Man, well, let me get to that in just a minute. Trump was in court on yesterday, which was, what's today, Tuesday? This was Monday. Trump took the stand, and he was on the stand for over 4 hours. I can't stress enough to you folks how much of a sham these proceedings are. We have records both of the biased judge in this bogus trial, Arthur Engoron. This guy's nothing but a glorified traffic court judge. That's all he is, and he hates Donald Trump. It is utterly absurd that this trial, first of all, would be being held, but that it would be presided over by a man who we have record of hating Donald Trump. He should at least recuse himself from this, but he's not doing it. And dare we mention little Letitia James. All you've got to do is get on YouTube and do a search for all of her prior diatribes against Donald Trump. I mean, it's unbelievable. She seethes with hatred toward Donald Trump, and the notion that Donald Trump could get a fair trial in front of these lunatics, these evil people who absolutely hate him, is absurd. This is not a jury trial. It's a bench trial, meaning that Judge Engoron will be the sole determiner of what happens here. So Trump is almost assuredly, we know he's not getting a fair trial, and Engoron is almost assuredly going to throw the book at him. Thank God we have an appeals process in America where hopefully, eventually, Trump will have his appeals heard by sane individuals. But, I can't go through this whole thing because it lasted for hours and hours. But if you go and read the account of it, you just can't believe this. It's like bizarro world. It's like you cannot believe that this is happening in the United States of America. But I found something that's kind of humorous in this account. This is the case, where Engoron is saying that Trump overvalued his properties, this is the clown who said that Mar-a-Lago was valued at $18 million. Well, I'll tell you what, brother, if I could get my hands on $18 million and I could buy Mar-a-Lago, I'd buy it today, because tomorrow I'd sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars. I heard a commentator the other day saying $18 million wouldn't get a roof job on Mar-a-Lago. It's got those tile roofs that you see a lot down in South Florida. But according to this story, listen to this, is in Politico. Asked to name properties he believed were over or undervalued, Trump responded by saying his Trump Tower triplex apartment had likely been overvalued, then launched into a soliloquy about brand value. Listen to this. During one heated exchange, Trump attorney Alina Habba, I like this girl, she's sharp, She snapped at the judge, who kept interrupting Trump. He won't let him talk, right? She said to Judge Engoron, "You are here to hear what he has to say." Engoron shouted in response, commanding her to sit down, and listen to what he said. "No, I am not here to hear what he has to say," he yelled. "I am here to hear him answer questions." I'm not here to hear what he has to say. I'm here to hear him answer questions. Huh? Well, doesn't that mean you're here to hear him answer questions? If you hear him answer questions, doesn't that mean you got to hear what he has to say? In other words, you don't want to hear him answer questions the way you want him to answer questions the way you think he ought to answer questions. That's what you're saying, Judge Scrooge. This guy is evil. He's slimy. He's smarmy. He's disgusting. He's ugly. He's just hideous. Just take a look at it. I wish I had his picture here, but I don't. I'm not here to hear what he has to say, Engoron yelled. I'm here to hear him answer questions. What a dumbass, Judge Engoron. What a clown this guy is. This is what I was going to say earlier, and now I'll get to it. I don't know, assuming Trump gets back to the presidency, I don't know what recourse the President of the United States has on people like Judge Engoron. I don't know, and maybe some of you down below can explain it to me. I don't know what legal authority Trump, the president, has when it comes to these, I guess it's a state court in New York. I'm assuming there's not much he can do in terms, let me just spell it out for you, in terms of retaliation, in terms of vengeance. I don't know what the president can do, but I hope he can do something in this particular instance anyway. I would love President Trump to get to office, to raise his hand and take his oath of office, take his hand down and say, all right, give me that file on Judge Engoron and give me that file on Letitia James, and do whatever he can do. He probably can't do anything because I don't think they're federal officials, but I would love for him to wreak all holy havoc against these people when he gets back to the presidency. To just absolutely go crazy on these people and let there be nothing but absolute retribution. There's probably not much he can do, but I hope there is. I hope he can do something to make their life a living hell, just like they have done to him. All right, let me move on to the last thing. Bear with me, folks. Oh, Mrs. Folgers, I love you. It's actually not Mrs. Folgers, but I don't know what it is, but I'm not real picky. I love coffee. And guess what? I just lost my internet. So I guess we'll just have to sit here and talk. I don't know why I lost my internet, but I did. Give me 10 seconds for a technical break, will you? I don't know why I have suddenly lost my internet. I was all set to go here, and blam. It has just disappeared on me. Well, that's a bummer. So I may just have to wing it, which I can do. It looks like it's trying to reconnect. I don't know. Bear with me. Heard any good jokes lately? How's everybody doing today, by the way? Where are y'all listening to me from? I guess I can take an occasional cup of coffee, right? All right, I'm not going to wait around. I don't know what's going on. Maybe somebody hit a tree fell down or something. I don't know how this crap works. But what I wanted to talk about was Chris Christie and his large campaign. Chris Christie appeared over the weekend at an event called the Florida Freedom Summit. And he was booed mercilessly, and I was loving it. And what I had pulled up to read for you were his comments, which I don't have now, so I'm just going to try and wing it. But Chris Christie is just nothing to me but cringe. He comes off as being so pious, and he just can't believe anybody would associate with somebody like Donald Trump. And He was up there on the stage scolding and schooling the crowd. While the boos rained down on him, he actually called these people reprehensible. He said, "You are afraid of the truth." Of course, he never laid out what the truth was. Of course, he also told everybody how we need to be supporting Israel. Well, you're going to lose me with that, fat boy. But he was just telling everybody how they were... It's unbelievable. He's standing up in front of potential voters, calling them reprehensible. You know, I wouldn't hire Christie to sell used cars if I own a used car lot. The whole idea in running for political office is to attract candidates to vote for you, right? You're supposed to be using honey, Chris. You know, honey, not insulting your potential voters, which is exactly what he did. He gets up in front of them as they boo him and he calls them reprehensible. Chris, dude, what's wrong with you? You're never going to win people to vote for you by insulting them. Are you kidding me? Imagine if you're courting a beautiful woman and you want her to marry you, and you get down on one knee and you give her you show her a beautiful engagement ring, and you look up, you grab her hand and you look up in her eyes and you say, "You know, I'd really like for you to marry me, but I find you reprehensible. Will you marry me?" She ain't going to think too long and hard about that. Now, here's a guy who needs to be courting voters. And Chris, big boy, you need all the help you can get. The last thing you need to do is be insulting potential voters, insulting the clientele, calling them reprehensible, telling them they are afraid of the truth. That's what he's doing. Okay, what's the bottom line here? Here's the bottom line. Let's just cut through all the nonsense. Christie knows he's not going to be the president, okay? He ain't got a snowball's chance in hell of being elected to the presidency, of getting the nomination. It's not going to happen. Even if Trump doesn't get the nomination, Christie is certainly not going to get the nomination. He's far down in the polls. Pence has already seen the writing on the walls. I guess Christie just can't read. But somebody needs to grab him by the elbow and say, "Buddy, come with me. You've got no chance, and you need to just get off the stage." Okay? It's as simple as that. He's not going to win, so maybe he's just saying the heck with it, and he's just, saying whatever he wants to say with no fear of reprisal. I don't know. But that's Christie, the guy who's insulting all of his voters, and that is what's going on at the Florida Freedom Summit. Hey, give me your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about this Judge Engeron and this bogus, phony trial that's going on in New York. Let me hear what you got to say about Brian Mast. Should he be a member of Congress, or should he just go take up residence in Israel? That'd be fine with me. Doesn't matter to me. Everybody, do me a big favor. Give me a thumbs up on the video down below. Hit that thumbs up button. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and that would be fantastic. You can join the community. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. This is Trailer Trash Tim, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye for today.